Welcome to Creative Clarity, Season 2 of the original podcast, Intentional Harmony. Season 2 is all about talking with some of the most creative minds I can get my hands on. These people have two things in common. They're passionate about what they do, and they love to create. From writers, to musicians, to artists, to business entrepreneurs, you're going to learn a ton. My name is Katie Warren, and I'm a creativity coach who helps entrepreneurs stop playing small and start living the life that they love through their creative gifts. Are you stuck in your 9-to-5 job? Maybe feeling like you're not good enough to make a living off of your creative gift? You're looking for more? Maybe even wondering how you can start your own business in a creative industry? Then you are in the right place, my friend. You're going to hear me cover topics all about understanding and improving the creative process. You're also going to hear interviews from amazing creative minds, learning what makes them tick, how they overcome creative blocks, how to generate new ideas, and how to get inspired. Sit back, grab some coffee, and let's get to it. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Intentional Harmony, Creative Clarity. I am so freaking excited for this interview today. I am interviewing Josh and Sam from Bird of Paradox Studios, and they are very near and dear to my heart. I may be a little biased, but I honestly think they are like the coolest couple-run business ever. Josh is my cousin. Sam is my, I guess you would call it, cousin-in-law. And they are just incredible, creative, amazing people. They established their studio in late 2018, and initially it was created as an outlet for tattooing and photography, but since then they've really just expanded into other artistic avenues. Because they're a private studio, it really allows them to focus on the client and really dig into true artwork. They really are all about collaborating with other creatives, other artists, and really integrating themselves into the community. You can just, as soon as you walk into their absolutely stunning, amazing studio, you can just tell it's such a heart-centered, family-focused business, and you immediately just feel super, super comfortable as soon as you arrive. So they have like three main concepts behind their studio. One is bringing the community together through different mediums of art. The second is to just make sure the full focus is on each individual client during the session. So, you know, you're going to go to Josh or Sam and they're not going to be distracted by anything else. They're going to be solely focused on you. And their studio it's called a studio, so it can broadly encompass other avenues of artwork. So they don't want to just be tied down to photography and tattooing, even though that is their unique main passions. I would like to call them multi-passionate creatives because they do dabble in a lot of different things. Okay, I'm going to stop talking so you can hear them. So without further ado, Josh and Sam from Bird of Paradox Studios.
To add on to what Sam's process is, and I'm not speaking for her, I'm just speaking as outside perspective.
Most good, this is exactly how the process goes. I say it
vocalize
and then you
it,
finish it.
She is a heavy note taker. So, and I've learned a lot. You know, I've been inspired by that, and it really helps. I can't tell you how many times I've had ideas, and this happens with every creative mind, I'm sure. You have ideas, and then you're like, that's awesome. I'm not going to forget that because it's so good. And then you don't remember it. All you remember is the failed attempt to try to remember it, you know, and you're like, oh man, that could have been a genius idea. And now it's gone. And I wonder how many genius ideas in the world go unnoticed that could be, you know, life-changing for everybody. But, you know, write it down. That's all. It takes 2 seconds. Write it down.
Hey guys.
Hi.
How's it going?
Let me tilt this up a little bit. Hold on. We're excited. We're excited to. It's cool just talking to you, but it's we're excited to be part of it. You know.
Was there a moment for both of you when you just kind of realized you were creative and drawn to creativity, or did it just kind of happen naturally?
Well, I feel like there's always been creativity in our family since the dawn of time, since the dawn of our family, you know. Is it proper to say on this podcast that we're cousins and that
Totally.
we share that bloodline? So
Totally.
you know, we share the same inspirations in that sense. And obviously our family is in such a diverse way, like creative in many outlets, you know? So I think it's only natural that we're all doing our things like this and going our separate ways and making our establishments, you know?
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Sam?
My family is not so much like art creative, like crafting for sure. But my specific creativity lies in photography. So my parents bought like a Rebel film because obviously digital wasn't like a thing back then. And I started just asking to use their camera, and then I just stole it all the time. And then it just was mine. Now it's Brody's, but that's how I started. Photography has always just stuck around how I express my creativity.
What about growing up in school? Did you like connect with all the creative kids, or were you guys kind of like the, you know, like the outcast doing your own thing where everyone wanted to be a doctor?
I think mine was like a lot of people did like art stuff or photography. My friends all did, and then that in sports, but we always like to go around and take photos and had photo clubs and things like that. We still do that.
Yeah, I wasn't really part of any extracurricular activity at school. Unfortunately, I was a minimalist at school.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I did love art classes. Those were like my favorite classes. I appreciated my art teachers. We got along really well. When I was in the art room, that was kind of like where I wanted to be in the school at all times. Otherwise, I just didn't want to be in school, you know, unfortunately. Looking back, I wish I would have taken more advantage of the extracurricular art activities, because I feel like I'd be way, you know, steps further than where I am now.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So you and Mike went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
For art school.
Yes, we did. And we both dropped out. You know, it's funny because art school up there, I was really getting into photography for a while. I was renting out the Nikons they had there, the DSLR Nikons. I would rent them out. Me and my buddy Ryan Rintoul, who Mike knows very well. We were roommates the whole time we were up there. We would rent out cameras and go take pictures, think we were cool because we could walk around with these expensive cameras.
I mean, you are cool when you take pictures.
What? You are cool.
It does make you cool.
It does. You feel cool holding that machinery, you know? But I just felt I wasn't getting my money's worth, I suppose. And who knows, if I would have stuck around, maybe that would have showed up. But at the time, I was a young kid who knew everything. So I, of course, thought passionately about my ways and was stubborn. And then I decided, you know, this isn't for me. And it's crazy to think about if you didn't drop out of school, where would you be, you know?
Right.
Maybe I'd be behind a desk because I was going for graphic design, multimedia, web design, all that stuff. So who knows? But I'm no regrets. I'm glad with my decisions, you know?
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Sam?
I went to a natural resource school, so it wasn't art related at all. I kind of realized my first or my second year, I was like, what am I doing? I don't know if I want to do this. So
it makes sense to me.
I left.
You're very earthy.
Yeah. Mine was more specific around running kids camps. I was literally the one of two people who were in that major in Stevens Point.
Wow.
And I didn't make it that far because I changed paths again.
So when did you guys like kind of find your niche, right? Like when did it start for you, Josh, and when did it start for you, Sam?
I was 25 and I was fairly tattooed, starting to get more big pieces, and I kind of saw the art aspect of it. You know, that was before Instagram. That was before all the major outlets where people are opened up to the world now. So I was kind of closed off. I saw, you know, tattoo magazines, but typically they were just focused on, you know, fashion or like centered around, you know, girls with no clothes on pretty much. And it was not even like, it was a very superficial take on the tattoo world.
Yeah.
So I never even looked at those magazines, and I didn't know how like genuine they were to the industry. And so I got a tattoo kit when I was 25 because I had a few small tattoos. I thought maybe I could do this. And I paid like $400 for this thing. And looking back in hindsight, it's probably worth $50, you know, but I was just so into, it was on eBay too. So, and from China. So I just really got tempted, but I was happy I bought it because I held on to that thing for so long before touching a needle to skin because I was so afraid of messing someone up. There's a lot of pressure, and
Yeah.
I finally decided I'm going to tattoo myself, and see how that goes. And that went horribly, but I learned a lot from it, and then eventually just snowballed to tattooed. I mustered up the strength to get a friend in the chair and tattoo them. And it was Austin. You remember Austin? I don't
Yeah,
know.
totally.
Yeah. He's the first person I ever did a tattoo on. To this day, he says it's one of his favorite tattoos still. So
What was it?
It was a comic strip. So it was like a box. It had a character, and I wish I remember the name. It's kind of a popular comic strip. And he's like a boy, and he's just kind of like got his arms behind his head, and he looks like he's laying down, right? But he's floating above the ground. He's outside. You can see houses in the background. He's floating above the sky, and he's just got a word bubble just says no. And that's what he wanted. So it takes up his whole calf. And for that sentiment, it's one of my favorite tattoos because it got me in the game,
So it's not like you did a little ankle design or a wrist design. You did an entire calf.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
It was straight lines. Like, it's literally a straight line box around his whole calf. And that was, in tattooing, straight lines is one of the hardest things to do. So I didn't know what I was in for. And it was probably, I look back on it, like, I don't remember exactly how long the tattoo took, but I'm sure it took probably 4 times as long as it should have, because I was so nervous, and he was nervous, I'm sure, but it was a good experience.
What about you, Sam?
My parents bought my first DSLR, and I think my sister was like my only client for a while. I would do like my friends' senior photos and stuff in high school even, and their parents would pay me. So that was kind of where I started. Then I'd go into like the corporate world and get caught up trying to make money, and then would keep going back to that. And now I'm just there.
So how was it for both of you making that jump to like decide to work for yourself? Because that's terrifying.
Honestly, it's so much easier having, like, if I didn't have Josh, like, I would never have done that. I was like, I'm too reliant on a paycheck that I knew was going to be coming and steady, and knowing that I had his support, he went through the same thing, so he helped me, and then having just opening our own studio, and then it's like, all right, now I'm committed. I got better equipment, I have support, I had more confidence, a little bit more confidence.
You're legit.
Yeah, then you like do the LLC, and then you're like officially certified, on paper. So it's cool.
And then you fake it till you make it.
Absolutely.
Starting the LLC, it's so funny when I remember filing for it, just thinking like, this is all it takes. Like, you just pay a little money and fill out this form, and all of a sudden we are a business.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then the taxes hit you the following year, and you're like, did I want to do this?
Yeah, right. Maybe I should have, rethought that decision. It's for the better.
So how did the studio start? Because you have a mission to be that non-competitive supporter of the art community. So where did the thought and concept for the studio come about? Because it's really unique. You don't see a tattoo, painting, photography combined studio many places.
I don't think I've ever come across a studio combining those things necessarily.
Mm-mm.
I think there's so many people that don't even realize that we are like combined, and we haven't really been able to show our potential now that we're not fully open, because we want to be more of like a display place for artists all over, and we haven't been able to do that because we have like half our place blocked off. The
idea kind of just came from, I don't know,
past experiences of not seeing that.
Exactly. We've traveled a lot with the tattooing. Before the whole LLC came about, and Sam was doing photography and like just on the threshold of breaking into doing it for a living, the whole family would come with me to conventions, all over. And so and even guest spots, we'd see a lot of different studios, a lot of shops. And I think after seeing countless and dozens of them, you kind of are able to filter out what you like about them, what you don't like about them. We took all of that and we just kind of made our best version of that, and yeah. I think it includes being a private studio. It includes not focusing on the money, but the art. I think that those are huge components that set us apart from most tattoo shops and photography studios, Then all of a sudden we just kind of snowballed. We were looking at a building right by our house. Like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. It was a residential on top and a commercial on the bottom. So we're like, we could.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that place.
Yeah,
What were you talking about?
We were very close, pulling the trigger. Like it was super cheap
for good reasons.
For good reasons, which we found out later.
Like the ceiling caving in.
The foundation leaking. Yeah. So we went and we toured it, and they showed us the upstairs residential. We got to talk to the people that live there. Nice people. They've been consistent, tenants. And we're like, this is great. They will literally pay for the mortgage for this whole place. But upon looking more into it, we're like, okay, the structure of the building is really compromised, and we're going to have to dump a lot of money in this if we really want to invest in it. It's just, in the long run, it wasn't worth it. So we were talking to your parents, actually. Yeah. And they own the lettering machine, which has the apartment upstairs.
They do all of our apparel.
They do all of our apparel. TheLetteringMachine.com.
Super great.
We'll link it in the bio too.
So we were just kind of sitting in the lettering machine with them. I remember this conversation very distinctly, and we were talking. And Sam's mom was like, "Why don't you just open up a studio upstairs in the apartment?" And she said it in like a 60% joking, 40% serious kind of way. And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool, right? Yeah." And I look at Dave, Sam's dad, and like kind of like side-eyeing him, like, wait. And he's looking at me, like, maybe, and from there, that was a catalyst. It just snowballed into really Dave's maniacal commitment to making this thing work.
My dad, who has been always 100% against tattoos.
Oh my God.
That's what makes it even more funny. He's just always been so against tattoos. The only one he's ever liked of mine is the one of my dog. And always asked him to stop tattooing me.
Yeah. Now he's helps with opening a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
Or a studio, if you like.
And wanted to do everything he could to make it the way it is now. Like every wall got taken down.
Yeah, it was a whole year of renovations in that place. And we turned this apartment that was pretty rickety into the studio space we have now, which, I mean, that's the number one thing we hear when we bring a client upstairs is, holy moly, or holy shit, I can't believe this place. This is, I would never guess this is up here, and
it's a work of art in itself.
Yeah, right. And that's Dave Chapman. I really, that's his commitment to his family and turning us into entrepreneurs the best way he can. I think we wouldn't be there without him. Well, I know that was really it.
How is it being a husband and wife running this business together?
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. It's pretty cool. I think the main thing, like I said before, private studio, focus on the art. The second thing we always bring to the table is that the family. We really are a family, and we bring ourselves to the studio, and that's what we kind of manifest into the whole thing, is that we're family. It's a homey feel. Everybody says it's such a homey feel up here, that's cool. I like that. I want to maintain that. I mean, any place we expand to. As a husband and wife, it's not like...
I feel like we always work really well together.
Yeah, dude.
I know we have our disagreements like everybody else. We're, as Stefan put it, passionate people. Mm-hmm. But yes. I feel like we kind of, one of us thinks long-term and the other one thinks like right now. And it works really well together. I remember one time when we kind of first got together, just something as simple as making dinner and cleaning up right after. Granny was like there, and she was like, wow, you guys work so well together. Like, we don't even have to use words. We just do things and like know what the other one's going to do, and just kind of like let the other person do that thing. And then we have so many ideas all the time. It's just...
Oh, Sam's no, that's her catchphrase. I have an idea. I don't know how many times I hear that.
Every day. I think I've said it like 10 times to you today already.
Yeah. But it works, man. And you really are. And I've talked to clients about, they'll ask about my family. I've compared Sam to Elon Musk because of how her mind never stops thinking. I have to stop thinking, but Sam she's on double time. It's great.
So let's dig into that a little bit. What happens when you get an idea? What's your process?
I tell him, and then then I get like the confidence when he's like, "That's a great idea," because I feel like no idea I have. He's like, "That's terrible." Like, we're just really
nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm welcome. I welcome any ideas. If I feel it needs a little manipulation or alteration, I will offer my idea, to counter it. But
yeah, you kind of put it in place, because I never have I feel like I lack in the confidence to really go through a lot of things. I'll like put it in him and then he'll do it.
Well, to add on to what Sam's process is, and I'm not speaking for her, I'm just speaking as outside perspective.
That's good. This is exactly how the process goes. I say it and then you finish it.
She is a heavy note taker. So, and I've learned a lot. I've been inspired by that, and it really helps. I can't tell you how many times I've had ideas, and this happens with every creative mind, I'm sure. You have ideas, and then you're like, that's awesome. I'm not going to forget that because it's so good. And then you don't remember it. All you remember is the failed attempt to try to remember it, and you're like, oh man, that could have been a genius idea. And now it's gone. And I wonder how many genius ideas in the world go unnoticed that could be, life-changing for everybody. Yeah. But, write it down. That's all. It takes 2 seconds. Write it down.
I remember you talking about that in another previous podcast. You're like, you have shower notes. And I was like, I need that.
Yeah, the shower notes.
That's the thing I ever did.
Like when I sent you that note earlier, I was like, are you just my notes? I have to go through so many times and just like go through them and delete them, or just like it just keeps going. Like the nonstop notes on my phone.
Yeah,
and
well, like
notebooks everywhere.
Yeah, well, but it's so necessary. Like, and I talked about this in another podcast episode too. Elizabeth Gilbert has this theory, and she's probably not the only one with this theory either, but it's like the idea flows through the universe and it'll, come to you. And if you don't grab onto it, it's on to the next person. So if you don't act on it, it's going to find another host, or it's going to find someone else to manifest in.
So true.
Now that you guys have put financial dependency on your art, has that impacted your creative process at all?
That's a really good question.
It's a great question. Yes. I mean, it definitely impacts it on my end. From the tattooing end, I'm not going to speak for Sam, but you either do it or you don't. And if you don't, you see it. You might not see it right away, but in a couple weeks, you're going to say, "Oh, we need money." So, yeah, it definitely plays a role.
Yeah, I feel like that's when you do all the tattoos that you're not really like excited for, and you're like, I'm gonna go to work, and then the other days you're like, I'm gonna go do this tattoo, And
yeah. Sometimes I say to all my tattoo buddies, and we are just so lucky. We really are. Tattooing has been, I mean, you go to the DMV, and I use this example a lot. You go to the DMV, it's insane if you see one person without a tattoo, like everybody has tattoos, and I'm sure there is a percentage that doesn't. We are friends with people that don't, but it's a trend, and it's escalating. It's an industry that's just taking off, and it's not going anywhere. Even through a pandemic, it's not going anywhere.
Because it's a form of expression.
It really is. A lot of people depend on it. It's almost therapy. And I think
there were so many people that were like, please, I'll give you more money, just tattoo me now. Yeah. And you're like, we're shut down. Like,
and as long
it's addicting too, also,
It really is.
I like to schedule myself in the calendar.
She just did that. Yeah, I saw that, by the way. Yeah, it's but I'm just so lucky. I really am. I feel like the timing was right for me. I hopped on this tattoo train at a perfect time when it was like a renaissance for it. All of a sudden, people are not looking at it as a taboo, like, oh, only drug dealers and thugs have tattoos. It's creative, and it's actually an art form. And now there's TV shows and documentaries, like all these things that are coming, podcasts, that people are like realizing that, oh, there's more to this than just, sketchy demographic that had it 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, getting tattooed in a dingy basement,
Yep, exactly. That's exactly it. I feel like it's only growing. Now you see workplaces. You go to the grocery store, you see guys with full neck tattoos working behind the meat counter, in the deli. Like, it's cool. It's great. I love it, man. I feel like our generation's starting to take over. The boomers really messed things up, and I'm sorry to any boomers listening.
I don't think there's any boomers listening, so you're good.
I do feel like they really put a kink in the flow of like human energy and how like things should really be. you can't really blame them, I guess, because it's just their times and they're
Yeah.
influenced by that. But man, like now our generation's taking over. You see people using alternative methods for everything that
Yeah.
medicine. I mean, you look at the legalization of all these new things coming up that should have probably never been illegal, you know. But
Exactly.
I think we're on the right path.
I think we're just not willing to accept no for an answer, and we're not willing to accept one right path. I think our generation is just accustomed to looking for multiple ways to do one thing, and
That's so true.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great insight. Because we have, I mean, the internet, dude. The internet has made everybody have a voice, and it's given everybody a library in their palms. Think about before smartphones and internet, you had to go to the library if you want to learn anything. And how many people take that initiative to get up off their ass and then go in their car and drive to the library and then find a book and then spend hours reading the book? No, now you go on your phone, you know, it's right there.
it takes you don't even have to type it in anymore. You just say, hey, Google.
So true.
What about you, Sam? Like, how has starting a photography business, has that impacted your creative process at all?
Not really. I feel like there's nothing that I wouldn't want to do. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
There's some forms of photography that I'm not too into, like product and stuff. I love working with people. So I usually just even feel bad like charging. So I'm like, I just have so much fun doing it, but it is a lot of time and it is what we like depend on now. So I don't know. It doesn't really, I feel like it hasn't really, because people usually like come to you because they pay for your creativity or they want that. So as long as they're like willing to work with you, I feel like it almost like makes my creativity bloom.
A motivator almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What about, I mean, you guys are like literally in this like creative mindset all day, every day. So what happens when you run into a block? What do you do?
Cry. It's hard.
Yep.
It stresses you out. I was just talking about this with I don't know, one of my clients probably just recently. You know, it's just like they always talk about the plateau, you know, when you're working out, you know, you hit a plateau. Same thing when you're working out your creativity and trying to figure that out. It's hard, man. It's really, and I know everybody goes through it. It's such a common thing, writer's block, you know, artist block. There's no answer to that question because I've listened to so many recent podcasts, you know, I've read articles or whatever, you know, I've done my research on how the hell, especially when you're in the middle of a depressing writer's block or creativity block.
Mm-hmm.
You Google how to get out of creativity block, you know, you literally Google the words and you'll get so many resources that I'm sure millions and billions of people have read. And it comes down to there's no answer. You need to find your own inspiration. You need to find a way to find inspiration, you know, to be more open-minded. Quick example, you know, with me and my tattooing, I think just go to the woods, go to nature, you know, I'll find inspiration there. What do I like? And I guess you got to kind of look at yourself. What do you really like? You know, well, I like space. I like UFOs. Okay, well, like, there you go. Let's use that. And that's your inspiration, you know, really identify with yourself. And I think you'll find out methods or at least a stepping stone closer to getting out of that writer's block or creativity block. You know?
So you step away and you go do something else that inspires you, hoping that you'll come back to it.
Yes. If you look at the unexpected, if you look where you're not always having tunnel vision, you know, I'm always on Instagram. I'm always looking at these other tattoo artists that are doing amazing things. And then all I'm doing is, you know, 70% getting discouraged, 30% getting inspired.
Yep.
It's like, man, why can't I do that? You know, what do these guys got that I don't? And where are they finding this insight, you know, this inspiration? So yeah, get off Instagram. You know,
honestly, well, it's only portraying the best parts of everybody's career and day. It's like You're not seeing the 30 pictures they took beforehand that they didn't post. So yeah, I totally resonate with that.
Yeah, just turn around, look the other way and look for something unexpected and be willing to have an open mind with it.
Yeah.
That's good.
I love that. Yeah. What about you, Sam?
I think I always am like, I quit. And then then I sit there and I still edit. But
You just push through it.
I think my blocks always come from when my career is like mostly relying on technology, and I always joke about how things just kind of break around me, and I've had not so good luck and like silly things happen, and I'm just always like, I quit. But then I have like the next person come to me, and then I have another session, and I'm like, that was so much fun. I feel like it almost like rejuvenates me to be able to like work with people and see how much fun they have. And then I feel like I almost always get a text right after, like, we had so much fun with you. And I'm like, I love that. Like, that's what keeps me going, I think. That and all the swearing while I mess something up, and then I just work right through it. But
that's just the healthy part of working through anything. You gotta throw a few cuss words out there once in a while.
Yeah. But I think, I don't know. I'm definitely taking breaks. I think editing is the part that I struggle with the most with my blocks, because there's no thing where you just like click a button. It's just each session and each lighting, everything's so different. And I think that's my biggest struggle is, all right, new thing, set it down. Like, I haven't gotten my routine perfect yet, but then I take breaks, which is easier when you have a toddler demanding breaks from you.
True, you're forced to walk away for a little while.
Yeah, so he kind of forces me to take those breaks, but I do think taking breaks is what gets you through it.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
I feel like I just kind of get inspiration through each person I work with. Like, I kind of see what their vibe is, and I try to always like make sure I try to get that and match it and try to make them feel comfortable, and feel like I can be really receptive to how people are.
Yeah,
and
you're intuitive.
Yeah, and I don't know, I like doing that. It's fun. It's almost like once I get there, I feel completely different and more confident, and I can just like help people, I don't know, let them play and have fun, and realize that getting your pictures taken isn't so bad. Like, most people have this kind of, oh, I gotta go get photos, like, families, there's always that dad who's no, but it's always my goal, like, I'm gonna make him have a good time, and he does. Like, they almost always do. They're like, they had a great time with genuine pictures.
I think your personality plays a lot in how you interact with your clients. Just because you're very, even without a camera, when you talk to people, you have a good way of, somehow you can talk into any conversation, and you work your way into it, and you make people laugh and loosen up. So that's probably plays a good role in that stubborn dad,
Yeah, I can giggle my way through anybody.
But I think there is something to be said about getting inspired from other people. I think there's not many more things more inspiring than a conversation, and especially in our generation, I don't want to say like day and age, but we don't have that many like real conversations anymore,
Yeah, I think podcasts are a great way for anybody to learn anything, because you're not getting something that's from a textbook or recited. You're talking to leading people in that topic, or people that are equally passionate in that topic, and you're learning their process and their mindset right from their mouth. It's literally it's almost like you're talking to these people when you listen to podcasts. And I mean, you just talked about how you found a podcast.
Oh my God, I feel like so many times I'm like, are they calling me out right now?
Yeah, right? Like, are they in my head?
I was like, I struggle with that too,
Yeah. We have a lot going on for us with how technology is kind of influencing every industry and for creatives.
For sure. Yeah. Influencing your, like, now you got like a cordless tattoo gun and everything. And
that thing is like, that's the Lamborghini right now. It's so nice.
Better than that little made in China $400 starter one, right?
No, don't talk crap about that.
Did you keep it? You should have kept it.
No, back then we used machines that you tear apart and you build new machines with it. So that thing turned into 4 different machines probably. And
it would have been so cool to keep it and have it on display.
It would be pretty cool. Yeah, my first.
Or pass on to somebody.
I got a tattoo on me. It's right here, actually. This is that machine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is that machine with a raven skull tube.
I always thought that was a teapot.
It does look kind of weird.
Like
I know
the
where
plot
it
test.
is.
What do you see in his tattoo? Okay, how do you guys have to do anything to like get in your creative zone? Or do you just like, it's just like going to work, you put your hat on and you just do your thing?
I have a ritual.
You do? What is it?
He never really sees it because he's only been in the car like one time. I drink a lot of coffee. And I listen to music really loud that I can like sing to. So I feel like that loosens me up a lot. Just like to get in that mood, and I arrive really early so I can just sit in my car and get all my stuff ready, because nothing's worse than trying to get all your stuff ready while people are talking to you, and then you're like, oh, they're waiting for me. So
Yeah.
that's my ritual, is just kind of literally a whole thermos of coffee, because I find it more efficient if you like don't drink it and then you slam it at one time and then you're like, I'm ready to go. Like
Life hacks.
Yeah, that, and I like to sing ridiculous music that usually I wouldn't listen to in front of anybody else because it's really silly. But
We all have that playlist.
Well, mine is pretty parallel.
To come on, you're never early, you're always running late.
Well, let me elaborate on that, because you're right.
Uh-oh.
And so what I do is, on my way to the tattoo appointment, I usually am contacting, or I've just recently contacted my client saying, hey, I'm running about a half an hour to an hour late. Let's postpone just a little bit.
He did that to me. That's how he said, I have to go let my dogs out. I'm like, yeah, okay.
I wonder if I probably did. If I'm early or on time, something's usually wrong, is how I
was
always.
going to say, I think you did that at my last appointment too.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. I'm telling you, it because I get there early. I get overly ambitious when I schedule, and I'm like, yeah, I can make 1 o'clock work, sure. And then I'm telling them 2 o'clock, getting there like 1:15, 1:30, and then I have this time, because or in the shower. I find myself in the shower a lot, just like you're talking about your shower notes. I in the shower will kind of just get an image in my head and like, what do I want this tattoo to look like, broadly, and like, what's a cool idea? What's the first thing that pops in my head? Poof, and there it is. And then, or it turns into something, and I work better under pressure. Like I said, I just feel like that helps. I think you had a podcast about procrastination, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely hit home. I mean, that's totally me. And I feel like it helps. And I listened to another podcast recently with, I forget if it was a Joe Rogan one or what it was, but it was about procrastination, and it was about the author of Handmaid's Tale. Is that, if I'm saying that right? I've never read or seen it, but she wrote the book, and she, is a world-renowned author because of it now. But she said she procrastinated the worst she's ever procrastinated with that book, and that's the only reason it ended up as good as it did, was because of it. Because just like you said in your podcast, you need that pressure sometimes. You need that kick in the ass to like think, okay, it's go time, and I got to do it now. Obviously not the night before, but I guess I can't really.
Well, it's just, you can't give your brain a second to relax, because then the inspiration and the thought is just, you're losing it, but if you have that little fire under you, you have to keep on your top game. I mean, sometimes it can turn around and bite you in the ass, and then you just screw yourself over, but
it's almost an art in itself, is learning how to dance that dance and like really hit all the steps, and then the outcome is hopefully something that you're proud of.
Yeah, totally.
I forgot to add part of my process, but like this is like before the getting in the car part. I like to write notes, like he said, so I usually have like notes with me. They're on my phone or like on paper, and then I don't even look at it when I'm there. But I think just writing it down and coming up like with concrete ideas makes me feel like more prepared, because if I don't feel prepared when I'm there, I feel like a phony almost, so I'm like, I like to see, I mean, obviously you want to know who you're photographing and then come up with ideas, but I feel like just writing them down, and then I feel like if you're too focused on what you have, you're not going to be open to like what's around you. So I always like to write it down and keep them in mind, and then I think like right before I'm done, I like refer to it sometimes, but most of the time I just delete it on my notes, or I just throw away the paper, because
awesome.
But I think that's a big part of my preparation too, is feeling more prepared.
I love that it leaves you open to to what's around you. I think it's probably really easy to get caught up on everything that you have to do. And yeah, you miss some really good opportunities if you're just laser focused in that.
I feel like that makes you have like your own style too.
Also, some of those spontaneous photos are like some of the best you'll ever see. You know,
Yeah.
little moments that you don't plan on capturing. And you
Yeah.
capture a lot of those, so.
Thank you. I'm always like, you guys just like go play over there, and then I'm gonna get my camera ready, and then I'm taking pictures the whole time, and they're like, wait, I didn't know I'm like, no, I'm just testing out my camera. That's we're just testing out the lighting, you know, but those are always like my favorites.
Yeah. You're just like that creeper in the bush.
That's what I'm saying. I literally said, I'm like, I'm gonna grab my creeper lens really quick, and then I bring out the big one, you know.
We're kind of wrapping up here, but I always love this question. How do you want to be remembered?
You want to start?
You start. You've been starting the whole time. I can't.
How do I want to be remembered? You know, for some reason, graffiti pops in my head. I don't do graffiti.
Anymore.
I've done a couple things, but nothing worth even mentioning, Katie. But
I never heard these stories.
I appreciate graffiti because it's an art that involves putting art out into the world that everybody's going to see in public, but getting no recognition for it. And I think that's awesome because I guess part of me feels like when we're creating things, whether it's music or painting or tattoos or photography, like we're making these things for other people, we get enjoyment out of it. And that's enough for us. When you do graffiti, you're just doing it because you enjoy it. And then nobody knows your name, nobody knows your face. And I think if I want to be remembered, I just want my work to be remembered, you know? I think it'd be cool if people knew me for, you know, me, but those are my family and friends. And I think being a family man, being somebody that doesn't fuck people over, or screw people, I don't know if you gotta edit that out, I'm sorry. Being somebody that doesn't, you know, hurt other people or their lives is enough. But just being remembered for what we create and like leaving it for the next people to help out, you know, maybe what we can do now will affect the next generation, our kids, our grandkids, and so on. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I don't know. That was like an answer I didn't necessarily expect. It's good. I mean, like graffiti. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's just like an analogy, I guess, popped in my head. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like
the ghost artist.
Yeah, you get nothing. You never
but
see
you just sit there and
face.
you're like, wow, that's amazing. You know, Banksy, like
Banksy,
everybody
yeah.
knows him. Like
Everybody knows him, but what the hell does he look like? I don't know. You know,
it's like Mr. Wilson.
Or Wilson from Home Improvement. Yeah. Mr. Wilson's from Dennis and Menace. It's a whole different thing.
Oh, okay. Wait, what's his name?
What about you, Sam?
It's like such a hard question, I guess.
Is.
Being genuine. There's so many people that see other people and they want to be like that. And it's so hard, especially when you're in a creative field, to like make your own path, I guess, to stand out in your own way. So I always like strive to be genuine. I always thought like I didn't want to go to school for photography because I don't want to like have somebody else tell me how to do it. Constantly looking at listening to things, and we just talked about how I wanted to like get on a schedule to do an online academy thing. I don't know, just showing myself through photos would be great. Like just be genuine to what I like and what I want to put out there rather than somebody's clone because that's what is cool right now, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easy to get, oh, this person's so great, I want to do exactly what they do, and then you just look like you're trying too hard, you know?
Yeah, for sure. There's a saying that says, I'd rather be authentic than original any day.
Yes.
That's really true, you know?
That's a good one.
Yeah. We all pull from the same influences and stuff. It's just how you express it back out to the world, you know?
Yeah, your interpretation, you know?
Yeah.
We all have signatures. We all write the same word, but it's always going to look different because all have our styles. So
That's one thing we always talk about. He was like, we're like, do I have a specific, like, if you saw my stuff, would you be able to tell? Everybody can tell his work. My sister's always spotting people. Did Josh do your tattoo? And they're like, yeah. Everybody, I feel like, can spot out. And I feel like he doesn't even realize that. I'm like, no, you do have a style. And
you totally do too. I can see both of your styles. Absolutely.
It's just a perfect example of you're your own worst critic And, as long as you have that, that insecurity, a good balance of it, it'll keep you going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
In competition with yourself all the time. Well, this was cool, guys. So I always ask the last question, which I'm sure you know.
That's what I thought.
So we have a good chunk of musicians listening, but we also have a lot of other creatives. So if you had to give other creatives looking to start their own business in a creative field or are just tackling their current business in a creative field, what piece of advice would you give them?
You should go first because yours is great.
My biggest advice, and this is pretty universal, it goes with everything, and I tell it to Brody, our son, make yourself teachable. Just be able to learn. Don't be stubborn. Don't be that know-it-all, because you don't. And if you open yourself up, you're going to go fast. Way faster than if you were to close off and learn from your own mistakes, learn from other people's mistakes. People made these mistakes already. Learn from it, I feel like, obviously, I'm not a perfect example of it because everybody goes through those stages, but be open-minded, be teachable. I gave Sam an example of, everything's passed down in a lineage. So when I'm learning from them, I'm actually learning from, generations before them. Just
like how your little cartridges, you didn't used to keep in water, and then you learned that one day from somebody.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was somebody you looked for advice, but you just observed somebody else, and they're
keep your eyes and ears open.
I see you do that all the time at conventions. You're scanning.
Oh yeah, it's a feeding ground at conventions. What can I take from these people? But that's how we're all inspired. We're all just, ideas don't necessarily just come from nowhere. Like you were talking about the universe, kind of, if you don't discover someone else's gun, it's going to be passed on. I feel like that's just it. Someone else did discover many things, and why can't I be inspired by that and take something from that, whether it's exactly replicated or, your own spin-off of that idea. Inspiration comes from when you least expect it usually.
Yeah. Creativity is literally, the definition is literally taking two unrelated things and making something new. So if you don't know about certain things, how are you going to create? So yeah, that's 100% accurate.
Well,
I love that advice.
One quote that I'm adamant about, it's an Isaac Newton quote, and that's my favorite, is, if I've seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants.
Okay, I'm going to quickly cut in here and just let you know that quote because the internet broke up. But it's a famous quote by Isaac Newton, and it says, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants." All right, jumping back into it.
He worked off of their works to see further,
Yeah.
Now we have gravity.
Gravity, but no internet connection. So.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, Isaac.
So what about you, Sam? What's your piece of advice?
Oh, that's so hard. I was thinking about it a little bit right before. To have confidence, I think that's really key. I've always had really low confidence, and I notice I always get to the next level when I have confidence and when I don't depend on somebody else liking something or saying that they talking about it. And if I think I did good, or I did this and I can do this next time. I just having confidence. I don't think we would have started a studio if we didn't think that we could support a family over it. We got to have that confidence. We know we're going to make it no matter what.
Yeah.
We can own our own business and have that freedom, and
yeah.
So many times I feel like you can't, they're like, you got to fake it. You really almost got to just convince yourself to, for sure. But yeah, that's great advice.
I have the hardest time faking it. But
somehow you get through and you manage. I mean, you guys are so successful, and I can say this because I love you guys, but I am so proud of what you're doing, and your studio is amazing, and your art's amazing, and you're just doing awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a lot of our shit together.
Right.
Well, we lean on each other.
As you help it.
So, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm really excited to edit this and get this out there. And I'll make sure to link everything in the bio too. But for people who want to look you up, just let them know where they can find you.
Well, you got a couple different outlets. We got the website, which is a beautiful website made by Katie. www.birdofparadoxstudios.com.
Not birds, with plural, bird.
One bird.
One bird.
2 birds in the logo, 1 bird in the website.
Very confusing. No, it's not Birds of Paradise.
Wow, we really messed this up.
We also have another tattoo artist, Chantel. She's really great.
She's great.
She does do different things, and she's tattooed on me, and I hope for more in the future. Hint, hint.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephanie is another photographer. She's actually my cousin. So, yeah, they're on there too.
Awesome.
We have our individual stuff as well.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank
It's been
you.
a blast.
All right, that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for listening to this past episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Josh and Sam are so much fun. So if you want to learn more about them, go get a tattoo from Josh, go get some photography done by Sam, or if you're not in the southern Wisconsin area, contact them for a commissioned painting because their paintings are insane. They are so, so good. If you want to work with me, find out more about my creativity coaching, you can go to KatieAnneCoaching.com. Anne has an E at the end. Everyone misses that and they wonder why the heck they can't find me. So KatieAnneCoaching.com, or you can find me on Instagram at KatieAnne.coaching, and I'm on Facebook too. Thanks for listening to Intentional Harmony, Creative Clarity, and we'll see you next time.